Good morning, it's Rebecca from Rebecca Inc. Today we are going to draw a flamingo. What you need to join in is gather up a piece of paper, a pencil, a marker, and an eraser, any kind of eraser will be fine. I'm going to use a white one. Yours could be pink, it could be the back of your pencil. You're going to start with your pencil. I'm going to use a marker so that you can see me better. Let me move my guide and we'll get started. We're going to start in the upper right hand corner of our paper. You're going to use your pencil. I'm going to use my marker so you can see me better. We are going to draw a little circle about this big. You're going to get pretty much just your hand going on this guy. It's little. We're going to draw a circle about that big. Go around and around. See how mine is not perfect? Yours will not be perfect either. Allow yourself the freedom to not be perfect. Go around and around. And in the long run, the shape you create will be a nice circle. Inside that circle, about halfway down and more over toward the right-hand side, you're going to add a little circle. One about that big. Round and round you go. You can air draw it and then set your pencil down. And inside that circle, one little dot for the eye. Above that circle, give yourself one little arc as a detail. Now we're going to add in the beak. The beak on these flamingos is a little complicated, so we're going to break it down into a few shapes here. We're going to do from the edge of that circle a little arc over to just under the eye, just a tiny little arc. If you plant your wrist and move your pencil, it's going to go in that nice natural arc. And from there, we're going to add another little arc straight down. Oh, I'm going to turn off my light. It's starting to blink. I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, a little arc straight down and then a longer arc. This arc is going to end almost all the way down here. So we're going to plant our wrist, move your hand in that natural arc it's going to go in. If you need to rotate your paper to get that arc, if you can only draw it this way, rotate your paper. But you want a nice arc about that big. Now from the tip of where we drew that first little line under the eye, from there we're going to draw a nice arc. Actually, let's add in a little detail at the bottom of this arc. Let's add in a little circle here because we want our second arc to meet up on this other side of the circle. So from there you're going to plant your wrist and give yourself a nice arc from that eye down to that little circle. Now inside here we're going to do a little oval at the top, and then we're going to draw on the bottom an oval that takes up almost this whole length down here, like that. Alright, that will come in handy later on when we're doing the mouth shape. Now let's go to the body. For the neck, you have a few options. You could draw a long, skinny S, and then the same thing, mimic that on the other side to get the neck shape. I'll show you what I mean by that. You can do a long, skinny S, like that. Kind of curving and then curving out and curving back. Now if that feels too difficult for you, you can do the second method. I'm going to switch to a pencil. You could do a circle, round and round you go from your elbow, and then you could do another circle inside that one, just a little bit skinnier, a little tinier, and then you could go right next to it, you could do an oval, and then a little fatter version of that oval. So you could use two circles and two ovals to get that same shape, and how you would get it would be when we trace over with our marker, you would use one edge and the other edge, and then you'd hop onto your oval, oval, oval. I think it's easier, if you can, to draw the long skinny S. But if you need a different way, draw these circles and you'll see what I mean when we trace over. Alright, from there, where our S or our big oval ended, we are going to add in another oval, and it's going to live right about here and be angled up toward the face. Little oval right right like that. Round and round you go. You can use your whole arm for this one. When you involve your larger muscles, it's easier to arrive at these shapes. And in the long run, we're going to use these as guides, so don't worry about going around and around. Just helps you get a better shape. From there, let's connect over to our S, or the base of our oval. That would be kind of like a triangular shape there. All right, building on from there, we are going to add an oval right here that's going to be a little bit bigger. This is going to be the back end of our flamingo, like the top part of his wing there. Just like that, round and round we go. And now we need to connect that over to our S. So we're going to do a little connecting triangle to that first oval, and then an arced little triangle over to our S. Okay, few more shapes here in between, right where those two ovals meet. Let's do another oval, long and skinny, right here. And they're kind of all, they're all pointed up. This one kind of mimics the shape of that top one. So something very similar in angle. Now off the back end of that top one, let's add in a triangle. You can kind of follow around that top shape and just head right back down, and then back in toward the body of your flamingo. If you were going to do the whole triangle, that would be the shape there. Off the tip of that triangle, let's add a skinnier triangle right behind it, back and forth. Plant your wrist, move your hand back and forth, and add in that second triangle. Now I'm just drawing the areas that we can see, but if you wanted to know where that whole triangle would be, it would be there. Can you see that? Okay, now we are ready for some legs. Off of this front oval, this one right here, we're going to do a series of triangles and rectangles. The first triangle is going to come down. It'll live right about here, which would be almost in the middle, just shy of the middle of that oval. I'll give you a guide there. So slice down the middle of that oval and then put your triangle on the back half of that. All right, off of that, we're going to do a nice long skinny rectangle. To get these lines, I am planting my pencil, setting my pencil down on my piece of paper, and just dragging my hand down. There's that rectangle. Now at the base of that rectangle, I'm just going to extend that over a little bit and add in a triangle. They have like these knobby knees, so this would be part of our knee. Now I'm going to do the same size triangle, but I'm going to flip it. So that baseline will still be there, and I'm going to flip that. Now off of that, long skinny rectangle again. It's okay if it's a little arced. Back and forth I go. I'm just tracing over it a few times. If it helps you, a lot of times when I'm drawing shapes, I'll squint my eyes. Is the overall shape showing up when I squint my eyes as a rectangle? If it is, you're good to go. All right, so there's my rectangle. Off the base of that, I'm going to add in another triangle. This time I'm going to angle the back end up. And then another triangle off of that for the foot. This little guy's foot is kind of in the sand, so we're just going to see a little bit of a triangular shape. All right, let's go back up where we drew that first triangle off of the body. Touch your pencil to the top of that triangle, and let's add in another one. We're going to angle it back this time, like that, and then back up into the body, just like that. Now off of this front one, we're going to add in our rectangle. Long, skinny rectangle. I'm planting my wrist and just kind of moving my hand to get that shape. Right behind it, not too far back, adding in the other side. Now I'm going to add in my triangle at the base there for those knobby knees. Out on that side and a little out on that side. Flip it, but I'm going to angle it a little bit this time. It's not going to be an exact flip. Angle it like that. Now off of this front part comes the next section of leg. So we're going to do a long, skinny rectangle there. And a little further back, mimic that line. We're all set. For this foot, it's kind of lifted and walking forward. So we're going to do a long, skinny triangle there. And then another one off the front. Long, skinny triangle there. And just connect them with a little diagonal line. So it ends up being a long, skinny triangle, and in between them, a fatter one. You have drawn all of the shapes that you need for a flamingo, so let's switch over to our marker. You did a good job there. Whoop, I'm throwing stuff. Okay, for our flamingo, let's start up on this beak. We are going to draw, remember those little arcs that we drew around the eye and then down? We're going to trace right over those lines. Around that arc, down to that arc. Now we're going to draw that longer arc down and around that circle on the end. Stop there. Now this is the tricky part, so pay attention. Where we drew these ovals inside the beak, we're going to go up to that very tippy top one. We're going to touch our marker down, follow the curve of that oval until it meets up with that next oval. Then we're going to follow the curve of that oval down and meet up with our little circle. Their little mouths, this is where their beak would open. It's kind of like a hook. All right, now we can go up to the top and around and connect those together. Pick a spot on the end of that beak, and we're going to fill it in black. I'm just going to draw a nice little arced line right there and fill mine in black. If you don't want yours to be up that far, I've seen lots of pictures. It can be down lower, it can be not quite as set. I'm just going to make it an arc, but it could be a little more organic how it ends into the rest of the beak. All right, let's go on to the head. We are going to trace around that little eye that we drew. Go ahead and draw all the way around the circle and add in your dot. And then trace around that little arc above the eye. Now, for our head, we're going to go around the circle, either onto the S that we drew. That one you can just go ahead and trace over. So let's go around the circle. Now, if you chose to draw a circle and then a smaller circle inside there, you would trace around the outside edge of this circle. And then as you go down, where it meets up with your oval, you would follow around that edge of the oval. Let's go back in, do around the chin over. If you drew that S, trace around your S onto your connecting triangle. If you drew the circles, trace around the inside of that circle and then the outside of that oval onto that connecting triangle. And when you meet up with your body, stop. This front oval that we drew is going to be a wing, so we are going to kind of cut into that, and we're going to use that kind of touch and flick down. We're going to go up onto that and bring it down. Cut into it, bring it down. Cut into it, bring it down. Let's go up and around. We're going to go connecting triangle around this oval. Then we're just going to ride that oval right down the middle of those two triangles. So let's trace around there. Connecting triangle around that oval, down that triangle. At this point, you're deciding which line am I going to trace over. Now my Sharpie is thick enough that oftentimes it takes up all of my lines, but if you chose like a gel pen or something like that, pick your favorite one. There's no right or wrong one to choose there. Let's go back onto this back triangle. We're just going to go down that triangle. When you get to the end, give it a little flick. Down that triangle, flick. Now as we go back up into the body on these triangles, we are going to, actually I think it'll be better at a different angle, so let's skip that. Let's go back up here on this oval, and we're going to draw the other side of this. Now for this one, we're just going to kind of trace over that oval, but with long marks like that are going along that oval, but also then the next one cuts in a little bit and back. Next up, for this back end, we are going to for this oval that's right here that has no marks on it yet, we're going to draw some lines like this along that oval, headed back to the triangle. So touch your marker down to that oval and just kind of flick it back, just like that. Now for these lines, for the base of that oval onto the base of this triangle, we're going to do that same thing. Touch your marker along that oval and just kind of flick back. Gives us some pretty little feather shapes. Same thing on this one. Touch and flick back. All right, for these little legs, we are going to go over the edge of that triangle and the edge of that triangle. Now we're just going to draw a little line to connect them. Now we're going to go down the legs, down the rectangle, onto the edge of the triangle, down the rectangle, triangle, edges all the way around. Come back up, triangle edge. I'm going to go back up to the top because to me it's easier to trace over so I can see what I'm doing. So let's go back up where it meets up. Rectangle, triangle, triangle, rectangle. Look at that cool leg we just drew. All right, next up, back leg. We're going to do triangle onto the rectangle, triangle, triangle, rectangle. If at any point I'm going too fast for you, put me on pause, trace around the edges of your shapes. We're not doing anything on the inside here. We're just doing the edges all the way around, just like that. Connecting over. I'm going to go back up to the top. Edge of my triangle, rectangle, triangle, triangle, rectangle, long skinny triangle. And then where I had that triangle drawn at the top there, I'm going to add in a little line. They've got like a little bit of fur that heads, or feathers, that head onto the tips of their legs. I'm going to add in one little detail on this back foot. I'm just going to go up and down. Oop, I got a little heavy-handed there. If that happens to you, just thicken your leg at the bottom. You have just drawn a really cute little flamingo. You're all done. So set your marker down, switch over to your eraser. I'm going to switch back to my guide because I drew this one with pencil, and I'm going to erase right along with you. Find a clean spot on your eraser. Steady your paper with your other hand and just go back and forth and erase all of your guides. And we are going to be left with a super cute flamingo. Thank you, Rhonda, for the suggestion. This is a bright, happy one. Darn it. I get talking and I forget to steady my paper. You'll crinkle it. So try to steady your paper as you go along. If you had some heavier lines, take a minute, go over those a few extra times. Back and forth you go. Just work down the body of your flamingo. Make sure to send me your drawings. You can post them right here on Facebook or YouTube in the comment section. I will take them and I will put them on my website, RebeccaInk.com. You can find your drawings on the Interact tab. You can also find some downloadable coloring pages on there. Those are nice. You don't have to get anything in the mail, go anywhere. Just pick your favorite, download it, and color it. They're $1, and there's lots of fun ones. You'll find some of the drawing tutorials we've done. I've turned those into some fun coloring pages. You can also find me, Rebecca Inc., on Facebook, where you probably are right now, on YouTube, and on Spoonflower, I do fabric design. So if you're making masks, I've got all kinds of fun designs on there. And you can find me on Instagram at Rebecca Inkabink. Let me know what you are interested in learning how to draw, or if you want to say happy birthday to somebody or congratulations on your graduation. I'm happy to pass along messages, so let me know those in the comments below. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for drawing with me. Bye.